Hi. Hello. I'm trying to do this Facebook Live thing. And the cool news is that I'm going to try to do it about every couple of weeks, every time I send out a newsletter. So, my name is Danny Neifert. I am the creator of Skin Harmonics. It's the first Medi-Holistic skin resurfacing method that has ever been. And of course, there's sessions and products that support this really unique process. And today's topic is I want to talk about wrinkles. Um, there was a couple of days ago, my dad, who has never worn a stitch of sunscreen ever and is kind of like a Grizzly Adams kind of personality in person. He looks at me and says, "Do you have a wrinkle cream?" And it was just like my brain went in all these different directions and like, where do I even begin? He doesn't even use a moisturizer. He's like in his 80s. His skin has been, he's, European. His skin has been, exposed to the sun his entire life. And he has huge, sun marks on him. And it's just his skin type. And so I was trying to explain to him that it's just not quite that simple. And that's what got me thinking about, the anatomy of a wrinkle. And I want to start with number one is tension in our face. Muscle tension. And this is when we clench. Right here is the most, popular place that we notice that, and our forehead. And we squinch our face, and that causes wrinkles. And that's something that can be addressed with Botox. You can go in and just relax that muscle. It's not like a deep relaxation for our skin's muscle. It's more of I think it's more of like putting our skin in a coma. Um, I'm not going to judge though, not judging. I'm just saying, let's just do these things with our eyes open. So, what we can do instead is we can learn to relax our face. It's so simple. Um, Simple, but not always that easy. Our whole body, when it relaxes, we get a full body effect and you hit, and, our whole nervous system gets soothed when we can just learn to relax our faces. And so, but just understanding that clenching our face um, causes wrinkles. And that can be addressed by just simply relaxing and also using something called a microcurrent device. This is something that lifts and tones facial muscles. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but it can smooth and relax muscles as well. And then number two is dehydration topically. Now, when our skin gets dehydrated, it wrinkles. I mean, it's literally thinking about a raisin and a grape. Like it really is that simple. So many fine lines can be lifted and plumped up, if you will, just by optimizing water levels. And, there's so many different product lines out there. Very few of them actually truly hydrate. What I've developed is a three-part system that not only gives our skin water, but strategically traps that water in our skin, um, so that that water can't leave and is truly maximized. And it's a hydrating mist, a hydrating serum, and a very radical and thick moisturizer, which does not clog pores, and traps the water in our skin. I've seen like I mean, it's almost like nice and night and day for my skin when I've been out all day hiking or, working in the garden, and I know I can feel the water has, over a long day's work can, especially when you're outside, I can come in and look in the mirror and be like, oh my God. And a shower and the three-part, layering sequence, um, it's just, like, It's like, taking you can just take 5 years off immediately just because of that. Um, so I also wanted to mention, is that when we feed our skin something called dermal nutrients, um, and there's fresh skin cells that are at the top of our skin in our epidermis, they can actually hold more water. Um, and so that's something else that can help with wrinkles, is having fresher skin cells on that top layer of our skin. And that's something that you might hear this over and over. It's called increased cell turnover. And the whole reason that we want increased cell turnover is that this layer, that our epidermis, it's always being replaced anyways, but we can speed up that replacement more quickly 2 ways: with dermal nutrients or with trauma. Now, I have strong opinions about using trauma to so-called heal skin, so I don't feel like that's a viable strategy at all. However, dermal nutrients do this thing where it increases our cell turnover, so we get that continual freshness, and it's from a place of absorption and metabolization of nutrients and abundance, rather than just like smacking our skin until it like has a trauma response and makes new skin cells. So, oh, I wanted to also mention that another way that people are sabotaging their water levels in their skin is by using essential oils. Now, I know they're natural, I know they're all the rage, and I got my aromatherapy license a long time ago. So I love essential oils. I love them. However, the vast majority of them are astringent. This includes lavender, tea tree, all of the citrus, many of them. There's only a handful of 3, I could count on one hand the essential oils that we should be using on our face. So sometimes people think, oh, I'm using natural. And if they're not going the acid route, they're going the natural route and using essential oils. And the problem is that number one, it's not food. There's no substitute for food for the skin. And number two, they're astringent. So you can put them in a base oil of avocado oil, even, but that astringency that essential oils have is going to negate that. It's still going to be drying, and you're going to have this you're going to be slick and oily from applying all this cold pressed oil, olive oil or apricot kernel oil or rosehip seed oil or whatever it is. But the action of the astringency of those essential oils are going to reverse that. So you're going to be greasy and dehydrated at the same time. Your skin is going to have too much oil and not enough water. And what creates moist skin is the balance between water and oil. Like, you need to have both. So the number 3 is collagen and elastin loss. And this is something that I feel like is kind of, I don't know, you hear this like over and over and over again. It's the refrain of the skin industry. It stimulates collagen and elastin. It stimulates collagen and elastin. Like, you hear that all the time, and I've honestly never seen anything to stimulate enough collagen and elastin to replace what we're naturally losing by sun exposure. Now, UV rays contributes to about 80% of visible aging. And so we're nothing against the sun. Like, we're just not going to win. The best thing to do is just protect our precious collagen and elastin, because when it's gone, I mean, you can inject, that's true, but you're not increasing collagen and elastin. You're injecting a filler that, number one, isn't so healthy for your skin, and it's not making your skin healthier. It's sort of a cheap move. I don't know. I mean, it's a move. And again, like, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm saying we should just do it with our eyes open. And that's why injections volumizers are so popular, because they just kind of create that instant volume in our skin. But the reality of it is that we need to just protect what we have because there's really no way to increase it um, on a large scale that would impact our skin. Um, so then, I also number 4 is about, well, I'm gonna skip that. I have another thing to add, but I don't wanna make this too long. So, let's go to number 4. It is called muscle atrophy. Now, this is the 4th thing that contributes to wrinkles, and it's basically when the muscles in our face, um, get soft and drop. And I mean, that's life and that's aging, right? And we can actually raise and increase the volume of our muscle. So we're not creating, we can't put collagen in, but what we can do is add volume to our muscle. And it's literally as if by adding volume to our muscle through a microcurrent device or face yoga, we're actually lifting and toning the muscles in our face. And so you can get an incredible lift just by optimizing, it's like if you go to the gym every day or you do Pilates every day, like you can really change the volume of your skin and get this incredible lift by um, by helping out your muscles in that way. And let's see, we're already to number 5. And number 5 is dermal thinning. Now, dermal thinning is something that happens anyways all the time. Like once we're past the age 25, we're losing around 1% of thickness for every year moving forward. So our dermal layer, which is the layer that makes our epidermis, is thinning. And so what speeds up that thinning, in my opinion, after 30 years in the field, is trauma based procedures. So things that are hard miles on the skin, like chemical peels, microdermabrasion, microneedling, hydrofacials, all of those things. Yes, you get this initial burst of new skin cells, but what happens over a long period of time with these procedures, and it's different for everybody, is that you were actually accelerating our dermal thinning. And so we care about that because our dermal layer makes our epidermis. It's the thing literally underneath our epidermis that is fabricating and manufacturing new skin cells. And so that's what decides the quality and has a lot to do with texture and vitality. And, something I want to talk about is just luminosity and glow. Like you can't get that if your skin isn't healthy. There's that luster, that shine that comes from skin that's healthy. And a dermal layer that's overburdened with those procedures will it thins faster and becomes less able to manufacture new skin cells and to keep this top layer, epidermal layer, fresh. And so the Medi-Holistic solution to that would be, instead of leaning into more harsh treatments, is to um, give our skin dermal nutrients and that was something that I mentioned at the very beginning. These dermal nutrients are applied topically, they're absorbed because they have a liposomal delivery attached to them. They're released into our dermal layer, and our dermal layer is like, pizza or lasagna, or it's literally food. So our skin can immediately start turning those not nutrient into new skin cells. And in that way, we can build and refortify the vitality back in. I've seen a lot of skin, really turn around when it has access to these nutrients. And we can delay that dermal thinning, and which is really a cool thing, a very, very cool thing, especially for us women. When we hit in our 40s and 50s, we get a hormonal signal. And I hear from so many women, and myself included, is like, wow, like menopause takes a real toll on our skin. And that's mostly a lot of that has to do with dermal thinning. So if we can go in and refortify that layer, we can extend the life of our dermal layer, which is like good news all around. Um, and so let's see what else. Yeah, I think my main message with this topic of the anatomy of a wrinkle is so that if you understand these components, you can find your way through the maze of skincare products. Like it's just not that easy, to be, finding a wrinkle cream or doing this one thing. And so my whole thing is just about making our skin healthy for real and giving it the things that you can't have substitutes for. So you cannot substitute for water. Like it's its own thing and it has so many benefits. You can't substitute food. You can use skin conditioners and you can do certain things, but if it's not food, it's not really the same thing. Um, and so, water, dermal nutrients, and something that I call barrier restoration, which is using a heavier moisturizer to trap that water in our skin and to keep our skin, super hydrated and plump. Because you can add a ton of water to your skin, but if that barrier is not in place, it's going to be all gone in 5 or 10 minutes, probably 2 minutes if you're in Boulder um, or somewhere in northern New Mexico. So barrier restoration is really important. And then also I have it's something that I call like a release function of our skin is the other foundational thing that our skin wants and needs is that it needs to actually be allowed to release old congestion. And so these are like what I call the four basic pillars of skin health and basic skin rights. And if these aren't being addressed, I don't care what product you're using or what magical vitamin or magical ingredient, like those can all be like cherries on top. And we can talk about the chemical sequencing that happens in aging skin and what antioxidants slow that down and things. I mean, that's sort of, we're getting into the subtleties of it. However, that's not going to work if this foundation isn't in place. And also when it comes to doing the traditional and conventional fixes for wrinkles, and some of them I've just mentioned, I'm saying we should garnish with them instead of serving them as the main meal. Because so many of those things that are from the conventional list that I mentioned actually don't make our skin healthier long term. They just don't. They can be fun little cheap moves to use, um, and I have clients, and again, like I'm not totally not judging, and it's going to be me maybe in 10 years or so. We'll see. Um, but I'm just saying, get this foundation in place first and then reach for the Botox, the injection, the volumizers, maybe a little bit of, like then we can reach and be strategic and know the impact of that. And our skin is resourced. It has a foundation to get the best from inflicting a trauma response on purpose. So that's me explaining the anatomy of a wrinkle. If you're on my newsletter, you received that. And um, let's see. I think we're mostly out of time. I'm going to get better at doing these and looking at comments and answering. I saw some questions come in, and um, I want to just keep this time kind of short, but the plan, like I said earlier, is to do this every couple of weeks when I have a newsletter come out and we can cover a topic. So, all right. Thank you for joining me. And we will just, I'll see you next time.